Well, few days back, the National Electricity Plan was announced, and to understand more on this, let's get in our two guests for the show today. That is Rahul, the partner with PwC, and Amit, director with Kalpataru Projects. So, Amit, I'll start off with you first. The National Electricity Plan that has been announced, is it something new, or was it already the part of the budget that we had seen? And what's your first take when it comes to this plan?
This plan is, there's always been a lot of capacity addition that has happened over the last 10 years in the country. But, to have a articulated plan which talks about the next 10 years in a very progressive and futuristic way from the viewpoint of grid reliability, access 24/7, a very efficient system of generation to transmission all the way from, pit to plug. I think this policy is really something which, in my opinion, path-breaking for the entire country from a demand standpoint in the next 8 to 10 years.
Okay, path breaking indeed. But Rahul, wanted to get a better sense from you. Do you think bulk of this capex of 9 lakh crore which the government has announced is likely to go purely for transmission, or do you think green hydrogen, pump storage, all of that will also get a bit of a push? What's your understanding of the split between, let's say, state versus center and the various segments?
9 lakh crore is primarily for transmission. But as Amit is saying, one of the key aspects is how do we integrate this grid better? What we are looking at is a large-scale evacuation of renewable energy. And with this transmission-first policy of the government, I think they are solving a very critical element. And while 9 lakh crore is only on the transmission side, we usually follow a thumb rule of 2:1:1, which essentially means if 9 lakh crore is going in transmission, the double of it will go in the generation and almost equal to the distribution side. And with the technology layer now coming in, what we are talking is a 50 lakh crore investment in the plan period.
50 lakh crore, that's the kind of investment that the entire ecosystem is likely to get, and that thumb rule does suggest that there is going to be more push towards generation as well as distribution as well. Amit, wanted to come back to you and ask you, but what role can Kalpataru actually play in this? What kind of opportunities and order inflow targets would you keep in mind with this kind of big order inflow coming in?
Given the fact that all of these, whether it's hydropower, whether it's hydrogen, pumped hydro storage, HVDC network, the interstate grid, all these are 10-year programs in this plan. So the logical, explanation for me is that for the next 10 years, I see if even 60-70% of it, this actually comes to fruition, there is enough and more business for us over the next 10 years continuously in these areas. As you know, we are backward integrated, and we also have very large capacity, almost close to 250,000 tons every year of steel fabrication in our factories. This also opens for us new avenues, be it in the hydrogen value chain, etc. But that we still have to see as time progresses. Also, from an EPC standpoint, we have a heavy civil division, we have a very large water division. And for both of these divisions, we see opportunities in large hydros, we see large pump storage projects for our water division. And of course, our TL and substation business is obvious. So I think from this viewpoint, several of our businesses, I see opportunity for the next 8 to 10 years panning out if this plan was to get rolled out the way it's been envisaged.
Rahul, the revised guidelines, if you look at, they also focus on EV charging stations, and they're aiming at around 1 lakh charging stations by 2030. Firstly, do you think this is achievable? And secondly, if they're looking to boost the EV charging infrastructure, do you think the ancillary or the collateral impact could be on a higher demand going forward for EV cars?
No, absolutely. I think it's a chicken and egg kind of situation, that if you want EVs penetration to be better, you need to have charging infrastructure in place. I think they are solving this problem by having focus on the charging infrastructure. As far as demand for EVs there, what we have seen is the demand is quite robust in the two-wheeler segment, and even in the four-wheeler segment, the demand is picking up. And I think by having this charging infrastructure, the demand is only going to go up.
Okay, so the EV demand is likely to go up. That's the word coming in. But Rahul, just wanted to get a better sense with respect to the generation side of things as well. Do you think the bulk of the growth now will continue to come from renewables, or nuclear and thermal are also expected to play an important part? What's your own take given all the COP28 targets, etc., that we have set for ourselves?
Yeah. So if we actually look at our NDC targets, what we have, for by 2030, we aim to achieve 50% installed capacity in renewable energy sector. We aim to reduce 45% of energy intensity by 2030. Now, what it means is a huge investment and focus on renewables. We are already seeing almost 500 gigawatt of renewable plan being there, and this is where I was saying that focus on transmission first is solving that piece of puzzle. What we are also seeing is the focus on essentially the pump storage as well as the green hydrogen. Now, these are very, very critical because with renewable comes intermittency. And therefore, to solve the intermittency, we'll need to have these kind of storage solutions in place. So I believe the focus is firmly there to transition India towards a greener and a cleaner future by committing these large-scale investments.
Okay. Amit, you have a current growth rate of around 25 to 30 odd %. Do you expect this growth rate to accelerate given the fact that the government's focus is also too much into boosting the transmission lines?
So, I think I wouldn't like to go so much into the future. We've had a good run over the last couple of years, and, you're right about 20-25% as a CAGR over the last couple of years that we've grown at. As we grow further, 20% even at these levels is very large numbers considering the scale of our organization. And I think we would like to be conservative and take, execution more seriously and ensure that we deliver, projects in a timely manner at the margins that everybody expects us to deliver at, rather than just have pure top line chase.
And so what are the targets when it comes to margins and profitability?
So I think I will just say what I said at the beginning of the year in terms of guidance. And I think we've been looking at, over 4.5 to 5% PBT levels on an annualized basis. And I think that those are one of the best figures in the industry with comparable peers. And I think we would want to stay there and try and see if we can make that better in the years to come.
Well, yes, that's always the hope. But Rahul, talk to me about the funding side of things. Do you think the bulk of this Capex is likely to be, of course, done by the government itself? And what will be the funding of it? Do you think we have the fiscal bandwidth available?
I think this is a huge opportunity for the private sector. Because what we have seen is while this 9 lakh crore plan is unveiled, a lot of projects go on IPTC mode, which is essentially the private sector participation comes in the transmission. We have also seen investment coming in from the likes of Power Grid and the state utilities. But with such a large Capex there, it has to come from all the sources of funding, be it private capital, be it capital markets, be it green bonds, be it even the carbon markets, which are now coming up. We will need to, put to use all the funds which are available to fund this Capex.
Lastly, Amit, what is your overall working capital situation currently?
So we try to keep our working capital days below 100, and we've had a good track record, a few days here and there, but we've been able to be in that target. Our first Q1 was a little tight because we had a very long and protracted election this time, which went in several phases. And because of that, the government allocation of projects and funds, etc., was a little slow. But I think towards the end of the year, we target to get to 100 net working capital days, which has been our endeavor for several years now.
Okay, Amit and Rahul, on that note, we let you go. Appreciate you making time and speaking with us. So that's a takeaway, that there's a big opportunity, path-breaking decision, and most of it will go to transmission sector with companies like Kalpataru standing to benefit.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them, become something more. It's my time to rise.